What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Multiverse. It's me, Xander, back again with another video for you guys. Kind of a different episode in store today. I've been working on episode 4. Things didn't quite, work out. Still kind of working it out with my guest, and we're gonna get that out as soon as possible. But I still needed to create kind of like a mini episode where we're, in a different setup, different equipment. So just kind of, trying some different stuff out today. But there's a couple topics that we just got to cover. It's been a little bit too long. I haven't been able to talk about them yet. That includes the Super Bowl, the Olympics, and then some of the movie trailers that have come out over the past couple weeks. To get started, I do have an announcement. There is a TikTok page for the Multiverse Show now. I'll have that link down below. It should just be the Multiverse Show YT with some periods in between some of the words there. So make sure to follow and check that out. Obviously the Instagram, Spotify, So that's basically all I have to announce for today. I had a topic recommended, which is the Olympics, and specifically the U.S. hockey, was recommended to me by my friend Ethan. Ethan, shout out to you, my friend. Thank you for the suggestion. I probably would have got around to talking to the Olympics at some point anyways, because it's just such a big thing culturally and in the sports world especially. So definitely, had to talk about it, but thanks for the suggestion. So we're going to get into that, but I need to talk about the Super Bowl first. So the Super Bowl happened, almost 2 weeks ago now. But if you saw my first episode, we did some playoff predictions. We did a bracket and went over all that stuff. And neither of our brackets were very accurate. I had the Broncos and the Rams, and my friend Tim had the Rams and the Bills. So those did not quite go as planned, obviously. But then when I took a look at this matchup, right, the Seahawks and the Pats, looking at this, how the game went, the outcome of the game was expected. I mean, if I'm looking at these two teams, I'm looking at the rosters, I'm looking at, the experience within the teams, which is a big difference. It was an expected result. I mean, I haven't been a big proponent of Patriots with a schedule advantage. Obviously, to a certain extent, they did have a schedule advantage throughout this year. But I think people discredit them a little too much. I think they have a great coach. I think Mike Vrabel is fantastic. I think Drake May showed that he can lead a team very well. That defense is very solid. So, I mean, they look like a playoff team to me all year. But when we look at how they got to the big game, I think that this was handed to them. And I'm not the type either to say, like, no team, didn't earn their win or whatever. Like, some people think that the Bills in the Broncos game, like the Broncos didn't earn that, but the Bills turned the ball over so many times. So obviously, their defense and how they played deserved that. You can talk about the catch call, all day long, but overall, the Bills shouldn't have let themselves be in that position in the first place. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about the Super Bowl. And if you look at the Patriots' path to the big game, I think the incompetent offenses that they played with injuries and the turnovers that the offenses that they were playing generated was pretty crazy. Because, I mean, we're looking at a situation where, their first game is against the Chargers, against Herbert, who is historically bad in the playoffs, never been able to figure it out. And everyone wants to talk about if Herbert has this and that. And it's like, dude, but he doesn't. He doesn't. And with what he's playing with, he's not playing good. And I know Herbert has potential, but it's just, we can't have hypothetical conversations all the time. So when they played the Chargers, I felt like it was leaning their way. When they played the Texans, though, I really thought the Texans would have had the Patriots number there. I thought that defense was just going to take the Texans incredibly far, especially where they turned it around, in the middle of the season. I thought that the Texans would have had a lot more in them, but I thought that their offense would have figured it out. I thought C.J. Stroud would have stepped up at some point, and he didn't. He turned the ball over a million times, and it was just a mess. So the Texans, man, I mean, credit to the Patriots defense for generating the turnovers, but it's just disappointing, and the turnovers really handed it to them. And then you look at the Broncos; they got a backup quarterback that hasn't played in a game in like 3 years. Sorry about that. Hasn't played in like 3 years, so it's like, man, I mean, I don't know. It's just they, the AFC was kind of like all over the place, anyways. This year throughout the year, so you got to factor that in too. But I mean, they made the most of it and they got there. But I did feel like it was handed to them. The Patriots in this game could not find a solution to the blitz. There's a lot of video breakdowns you can look at. Drake May's decision making in this game. You can see he gets very uncomfortable. He's very desperate to get a big play downfield. There's a couple throws that he makes that he should have had. He would have wanted to have back. There was a couple plays where he's got guys on curl routes, really like short, easy completions to kind of get him back in the swing of things. And he's just passing up on those guys, waving their hands like, just get something going. And he's trying to push the ball downfield. And either he's turning it over, getting sacked, or fumbling. It was just a mess for him. He wasn't looking for those short completions. But I need to talk about the Seahawks because they did run the ball incredibly well in this game. Kenneth Walker with the Super Bowl MVP. Just very good performance. Just like very solid. Like he didn't like have too many like super long runs down the field, but it's just like constantly moving the chains. And that's kind of what the playoffs is about. I mean, then once they get that going, Darnold's able to do the play action and get some, medium level completions. And then at that point, you're in field goal range. You can take a shot for the end zone, or they can kick the field goals like they did. And that's what wins games, And that defense obviously just made the Patriots so uncomfortable. So it really helped their offense, get in the swing of things by the third. But yeah, another thing about Sam Darnold was he was comfortable on most plays. He showed that he can extend the play and step up in the pocket. And I thought he did that better than Drake May in this game. I mean, I was really shocked by how much Sam Darnold has grown. I mean, we saw like what he did, with the Vikings, and that was really awesome. But when he got to the playoffs, he fell off. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but he's played well in both playoff games for the most part. And the Super Bowl, he had a really good, performance. It wasn't like a earth-shattering performance, but it was like, he's getting the job done big time. And then when we get to the big takeaway, just about the Patriots and how this one happened. I like Drake May a lot, but if you look statistically, he did have one of the worst playoff runs in history, and that's another reason why the teams that they faced kind of factor in, because if he's having some of the worst playoff performances, and I get it, he's young. Also, the weather was bad, but if we're just looking at it like without the excuses, we're just looking at the statistic, we're just looking at the teams that they played. He did have one of the worst playoff runs in history, and I know it's his first one, and I have faith that he can improve, that they will improve, and figure it out and do better. But I think next season will tell a lot about Drake May and the direction that this Patriots team is going. I just hope it's not a situation where we had a couple years ago with C.J. Stroud, like I mentioned before, where he was like looking like he was going to be a really promising superstar in the NFL, and we just haven't seen that since then. So, hopefully this isn't Drake May's peak. As a Bills fan, I do hope it is his peak. But overall, I like the guy a lot. And, we'll see. Next year will tell a lot about, what's going to happen with the Patriots. But Super Bowl was really boring. I watched until about the third, and I was like, it was, just a whole bunch of field goals, a whole lot of nothing. There were some cool plays downfield, good defensive, turnovers and whatnot. But, it was just not great. And then, of course, when I stopped watching at the end of the third or whatever, all the points all the touchdowns start to happen. So, whatever. It was fine. Super Bowl was boring. But, credit to the Seahawks. Good game. Patriots, tried to make the most of it for, getting there. But we'll see what happens next year when the AFC has Mahomes and Lamar and Allen and Burrow back. And, we'll see where they go. But going to switch gears to the Winter Olympics a little bit. I am really excited to talk about this. So I did talk about this in the video that I was trying to make before. So I had to update a lot of my, notes. But we're just going to kind of whip through this here. I'm not sure how long this, mini episode is going to be, but, we'll see. And hopefully you guys like it. But currently, as of the recording of this video, the U.S. has 27 medals. So they're second behind Norway with 36 total medals. And I think it's 10 different sports that the U.S. has their gold medals in. Really impressive. Or not just their gold medals, but just their total medals in speed skating, freestyle skiing, figure skating, cross-country skiing, curling, luge. The women's ice hockey won the gold yesterday. Snowboarding, curling, and bobsledding. So just a variety of sports that they are doing really well in. But specifically, yesterday, the U.S. women's hockey team took down the Canadians in the gold round. It was 2-1 in OT, completing a perfect run in the Olympics. It was cool because it was a come-from-behind win. And if you watch the overtime goal, it's crazy. It's like she's got a defender, right alongside her. She swings her stick to the right like she's going to, just take a regular wrist shot, and then she swings it back for a backhand at like the last second. And I think she described it as like a one of those goals that you just are just trying to shove in there. But in the moment, it looked insane. So if you haven't seen that goal for the women's game, you got to check it out. But U.S. pulled their goalie at the end of regulation in kind of like a desperation effort, and they were able to get it in and then go to overtime and score 4 minutes later. So super awesome result. I'm really hoping that we see that U.S. men's and U.S. men's and Canadian men's hockey matchup. But we'll get into that in a minute. I'm excited. I'm excited for all this stuff. It's really cool. So congrats to the U.S. women's team, and Canada goes down in kind of a close game, a shocking fashion. These two teams, it's like the same thing with the men's. The U.S. team and the Canadian team for women's and men's are always like right here, like right on the same level. I know Canada's had the U.S.'s number in the past a couple times, but not this time for the women's. So congrats, and that was an awesome game. So for the men's hockey, it's the semifinal round, so almost to the medal rounds. The matchups are Finland versus Canada, and then the U.S. is against Slovakia. Now, while I was making my notes, the Canadian game was going on currently. So if I pull this up, Canada score Olympics men's for the hockey. Men's hockey. Okay, so when I was making my notes, it was 1-0 Finland, but now Canada scored. Finland just put another one on the board, so it's 2-1. I don't know how much time is left in this one. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That would be shocking if they lost. I know one of the big things is Canada is now missing one of their veteran captains. Sidney Crosby went out last game. I like Crosby a lot. He, I don't know. I think he was just getting hit hard. I didn't see why he went out or what the injury was, but he's out for this game currently. So I don't know. I could have waited and made a reaction to this, this game right after, but we'll see. We'll, see what people say about it. But yeah, I mean, it would be utterly shocking if Canada lost. I'm confident that they can make a comeback in this game right now. Just because that team is insane. But yeah, missing your captain is pretty big. I don't know how much of an impact he was having in the scoring and the in generating scoring opportunities, but I mean I would think that it's going to affect them a lot. So tough that Canada's missing a veteran leader. But that's kind of just the cost of the Olympics, man. Everyone's got to contribute, and especially when you're playing teams that are like all super teams of different countries, So Finland's a very solid team. Obviously, right now they're proving that they can score and they can, hang with Canada. Is pretty crazy, especially with some of the feats that Canada's put up so far in the Olympics, like the 10-2 win or whatever it was against one of the teams earlier in the preliminary rounds. So, props to Finland for being in this game right now. I'm going to jump to the U.S. and Slovakia game. I was really high on Czechia. They seemed like they were a really good team. They had a really good roster. Obviously, the U.S. and Canada, they got the top two best rosters, obviously. But Czechia looked like a really good, solid, disciplined team, but they went out. Canada took them down. But Slovakia is an interesting case. Last round, Slovakia put up a lot of points. I think, in comparison to all the other games in the last round, the quarterfinals, were like 1-goal games. But Slovakia had the single game against, I think it was Germany, where it was like 6-2. And Germany was another team that people were really high on. Like, I remember when, we were getting close to the U.S. and Germany game, everyone was pretty like, the U.S. are going to be playing a good team in Germany. Germany's look really solid, but then Slovakia destroyed them in the quarterfinals. So that's a little scary, especially now that we're seeing Finland hanging with Canada. There's a very good chance that the Slovakia-U.S. game either does not go the U.S.'s way or it is another close one. So obviously I'm pulling for a U.S. victory in this one. I really just want to see that Canada versus U.S. matchup, just like the women's. I want to see the same result. But really, overall, I'm hoping for good games this round. It already looks like the Canada-Finland game is going amazing. Not for Canada, but looks like a thrilling game. So I definitely going to want to watch the highlights after this. When that game ends, maybe I'll pop back on the video and just say a quick word later about the result of that game. We'll see. But U.S. and Slovakia, man, it's gonna take a lot for them to push through, because it's like playoff hockey, where in any playoff sport where it's like things can go any way. If you make one mistake, the other team will capitalize. In a sport like hockey that's so fast paced, I think about it like with basketball too. You are constantly moving, constantly trying to generate some sort of play. I know like the U.S. had 5 different goal scorers in one of their games, and they're just spreading the puck around so well. And that's what's going to make the big difference in these games, are teams that have developed chemistry over a short time, that know each other, that can play well together. And that's why the U.S. and Canadian teams are like, we think of them so highly because of the rosters, but also you have some other teams in these other countries where you have guys that, might be playing together more, might be, building chemistry, at an easier level. And I remember that with the U.S. men's basketball in the Summer Olympics there was a lot of teams that were very confident in their chemistry, and their chemistry can make these games close. But at the end of the day, star power or chemistry. I mean, I don't know. We saw that in the basketball. It proved that the star power was greater than the chemistry. We'll see in these Olympics. I'm really excited to find out these results, actually. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. I loved that they did the 4 Nations face-off for the NHL last year. It's kind of like the same thing, but this is just like way higher stakes. But I know Canada beat us in that last year in the 4 Nations face-off, so that's why I want to see that rematch. Would be spectacular. But Crosby being out for Canada is a big blow, and we'll see how much it affects them when we see the result of this game. Now, I don't know how long I've been yapping away on here, but for the next couple of minutes, I just want to touch on some of the movie trailers that have come out over the recent weeks. I'm talking about Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Invincible Season 4, Spider Noir, and Mando and Grogu trailer just came out this week. I'll start with what came out first. I feel like the Invincible trailer came out first. So, Invincible Season 4, man. Well, what can I say? I mean, the writing is so airtight in this show. I don't know how you aren't excited about it. If you are an Invincible fan, if you haven't watched it, I have had a hard time. Like, I've known about Invincible for a long time. I've known that it was a comic book. I have, my best friend was interested in it, told me about it, and then my girlfriend started watching it and said it was peak. So I was like, all right, dude, everyone's telling me I need to watch it. So I watched it. I watched the whole show, over kind of December, my, winter break from school, whatever. And gosh, just an unbelievable show. I also watched Daredevil recently. Another suggestion for my girlfriend. Shout out Sarah for those unbelievable suggestions. And both those shows are just peak. Daredevil Season 3 is my favorite season of a TV show ever, I think. Invincible Season 3's got to be up there. it's just but Invincible itself is unbelievable, and season 4 is going to be crazy. I'm really excited to see how different storylines are going to get touched upon. It seems like they're just taking so much from the kind of cliffhangers from season 3 and just bringing them right in our faces in this trailer and right into this next season. We're dealing with the Adam Eve is struggling with her powers. We saw some alluding to that towards the end of season 3, and then we also are seeing I'm really interested in the conquest thing. First, I can't. There's some things online that you can't avoid seeing some things, and now that I started reading the comic books, I'm not at that point yet, but conquest possibly returning would be horrible, and also horrible for Cecil, because if Mark finds out that dude kept him alive in a basement, warehouse, bunker, whatever you want to call it, Cecil's going to be cooked. People hate on Cecil a lot. I think that the stuff he did with the reanimate men is pretty horrible, and what's the guy's name? But the leader of the that makes the reanimate men, that's pretty bad. That he's kind of walking as a free man, just being able to go on about his life, even though he killed lots of people, did some horrible stuff, and the government's just he's smart, so we're gonna bring him in, and he's gonna help us out, and he can just do whatever he wants because he's helping us. But it's dude, he's still got to be held accountable for what he's done. So that one's on Cecil. And if the conquest thing goes wrong, it is 100% on Cecil. And because Mark told him, yo, burn the body, get rid of him. If there's any concern that he is still alive, you got to get rid of him. And it's insane if Viltrumites can survive the beating that Mark put down on him, because that was crazy. But again, to talk about season 4, I'm excited to see more of Nolan, see him come back, revisit Earth, how Earth is going to react to that, how Debbie's going to react to that. More of Alan is peak. Seeing Battle Beast in the trailer and what Tech Jacket's doing, man, they're going to put in some serious numbers during this season. So beginning of the Viltrumite War in Invincible Season 4 is going to be great. Got the first 3 episodes on March 18th, and then a week after following, all the way up until the end of April. So we're getting 2 months of peak with Invincible, and then we're getting Daredevil Born Again towards the end of March. The Daredevil Born Again trailer looks fantastic. I'm not super high on the first season of Born Again. I still think it's a unbelievable show. I think it's still really good. But it does not compare to the Netflix content for me. So, and I know that they had some writing limitations and things weren't, how they wanted it to be. But now, I think Disney and Marvel are taking a little bit of a step back, and we're going to see, some more of what the original vision for this show is going to be. And we're seeing that black suit, famously featured in the Shadowland comic run of Daredevil. Not a great run. I haven't read it, but I just know that it's just, Matt Murdock is, kind of becomes a little evil in that run. But overall, the suit's going to be fire, though. They're not going to do any of that. They're not going to do that kind of, stuff in this show, I don't think. I think it's just going to be a great continuation of, the first season of Born Again. And I think some people, misunderstand Born Again as, it's not a complete story. There's so many, unsolved mysteries, and that's how we knew we were going to get a second season, and we're going to see a lot of that stuff get cleaned up. We're going to see more Kingpin. We're seeing Jessica Jones now. Just a lot of great stuff. So really, really excited for Born Again Season 2. Spider Noir looks really cool. Not, nearly as excited for that as I am with the other 2 shows. But it looks great. It's such a unique show, and it could be a sneaky top project of the year. Just from an artistic standpoint. Nicolas Cage looks like he's getting really visceral with his acting in this role, which could be great. Which I think will be great. It could be one of his best roles, honestly, if he, if the writing is good too. It's just cool that we're getting a spin-off from a character that we've seen once in the Spider-Verse. I know it's a comic character as well, but it's just cool that we're seeing the same, voice actor to live action will be cool. But like I mentioned, if you want to check out my short, trailer reaction, some of my thoughts on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, I have a short on there. kind of talking about it, especially the Ben Reilly situation, why he is donning the name of Ben Reilly, where he's traditionally Peter Parker in the comic and in Spider-Verse and stuff. So we'll see what they're doing with that. I think they might be trying to separate the animation from the live action, which would be interesting. It's fine if they do. I don't know. I think it'll be cool. I think some of the villains that we're going to see in that show are going to be nuts. Cinematography is going to be great. We'll see what the CGI is. I mean, the swinging looked good to me, so we'll see. And then the last thing I want to talk about is Mando and Grogu. Wasn't super excited about this, but now that we got this awesome trailer and we got, it was just a great trailer with a lot of different stuff in there. We saw the villain. We saw Embo from Clone Wars will be, one of the villains. The Hutts look cool. A lot of like battling monsters. There's like a gladiator ring. Looks cool, man. We're still getting some of the gimmicky Grogu stuff where he's just being like a cute little, side character, product placement. But what are you gonna do? Like it is cute, but overall, it doesn't contribute to the story that much. But I'm not super bothered like that by as much as some people are. I'm not as bothered. I'm really getting excited to have Star Wars back in the theater. I mean, there's like some of the music in that trailer got me really excited. It's going to be a great theater experience. I really hope that I can walk out of the theater saying that was at least a 7 out of 10. And I'm interested to see if they're going to try to, build up some of the other shows, make them movies, and connect it and kind of do like, like the Thrawn storyline thing, how they're going to connect that with Ahsoka and all of them. We'll see what they're doing with that. I don't know, now that Dave Filoni's the CEO, or he's taken over, the Star Wars portion of Disney. We'll see what happens. I trust Dave Filoni. I think that he'll do a decent job. I think he'll do better than Kathleen Kennedy. But he is, once again, he's in like an animation guy with Clone Wars and stuff like that. So we might get really, really good animation content. But I know, some people think his live action stuff is kind of mid. So we'll see. But overall, I am very excited for Mando and Grogu now, especially with that trailer. It's kind of the same thing with Doomsday for me. I wasn't super high on Doomsday. But once they released those 5 trailers, like the Cyclops one, the Thor one, oh my gosh, I'm so much more excited for it. So, if I had to put them in order, I'm probably most excited for Invincible and Daredevil are right there. I'm probably just more excited for Invincible because it's coming sooner. So it's probably Invincible, Daredevil. I'll put Mando and Grogu at 3, and then Spider-Noir at 4. But Prime overall is killing it right now. I don't watch The Boys, but I know The Boys is coming too, and that's another Prime show that people are excited about. So final season of that show sounds pretty cool. But we're getting a lot of great shows, a lot of great movies, and there's just going to be a lot more stuff. Hopefully we'll see a Spider-Man trailer soon, because we already saw a Supergirl trailer months ago, and we haven't gotten a Spider-Man trailer, even though it comes out like 4 weeks after Supergirl. So, we'll see. But overall, a lot of great stuff. I was happy to come on here and finally talk about the Super Bowl, talk about the Olympics before, time runs out. We'll see what happens with the hockey, man. It's going to be pretty cool.
Well, what's going on, everybody? This is Future Xander, and I just saw what was going on with the hockey. The United States beat Slovakia in an insane beatdown, 6-2. I checked this game at the second period, and unbelievable. It was already 5-0. What an insane game. I mean, come on. You got 5 different goal scorers once again. You got Jack Hughes on there twice, Eichel, Kachuk, Thompson, Larkin, all these guys getting on the board, getting involved. Just an unbelievable game. I was way too high on Slovakia before. I know they put up a lot of goals and beat up on bad teams, but they could not get us, man. What a game. Now we're going to see the U.S. against Canada in the gold medal round Sunday morning, 8:10 a.m. Eastern Time. Gotta check that out. Hopefully we can get back on there, talk about it, and get back on the pod and talk about it. But what a thriller. Let's go USA.
And then, talk about some of those trailers that have just come out. So, check out the Spider-Noir reaction if you haven't seen that yet on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. I'm going to get this video out as soon as possible. Let me know what you guys think about the little mini episode. Maybe I'll do more of these just solo. We can probably, put some games in there, some tier lists in there or whatever, and do some fun stuff with it. So, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.